Welcome to my channel. There's been some recent claims made on the internet about the controversial play on the Detroit Lions that I discussed in my recent post. And I feel compelled to address them because there's just all sorts of rampant speculation and baloney being played out on the internet, and I'm trying to stick to the facts and what really happened. So I'm going to talk about that, but before I do, I have to thank every single person that has subscribed to my channel, everyone that's watched my videos, that's liked them, that's commented on them, that's shared them. My mind is completely blown. I've never seen traffic like this on my site. I know there's other YouTube channels that have millions of followers, but I'm just a little guy, and this has amazed me. It's been difficult to keep up with, but I'm doing the best that I can. So without further ado, let's get into this. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to watch the actual video, and then I'm going to talk about what's going on. So here we go.
They've gone to Laporta twice and Montgomery once when they've been successful. Penei Sewell was phenomenal on that drive, handling Parsons. And with 23 seconds left in the game, this to go ahead.
Everybody that had to make the play on this last possession did just that. Starting with being able to handle Micah Parsons, but Goff had to get the ball out.
Now, you did not hear the announcement that 70 was eligible. If you recall from the video that I made yesterday, I played a clip from Twitter of the Spanish version that has that in it. This version doesn't. I can't explain that. I'm not even going to try to explain it. But one of my commenters commented on it, and I'm not going to post this link because I watched the entire video, and I'm going to tell you that it's a lot of smoke and mirrors, speculation and innuendo, and it's not true. But this viewer, this commenter, posted this link, and so I clicked on it, and I watched the entire video. Okay? Watched it all, played it back, listened to it carefully. What they're claiming is that the Spanish version that was posted on Twitter had the voice dubbed in and that the announcement was never made. Now, first of all, we know that it is required that the referee make that announcement. So what they're trying to claim is not only did the referee ignore Decker reporting as eligible deliberately because he wanted the Cowboys to win, but he also didn't bother to make the public announcement about it so that he could set them up for failure. It's too much. Too many conspiracies, too much baloney. I don't know why people do this, but they do, and so I'm here to debunk it. Okay? But first, let's keep watching this video. I have several things I want to talk about.
Dan Skipper, an extra offensive lineman, comes in. Play action. End zone. There it is!
So that's the play. I've talked about this at length in my comments, in my pinned comment, in the video that I made, so I'm not going to go over old ground. You can read all that. You can watch my video. I stand by what I said. First of all, and I'm going to show you this from Dan Campbell's own lips. The Detroit Lions tried to fool the Cowboys. They ended up fooling the ref, and it cost them. But it's their own fault. It's not the ref's fault. It's the Lions' fault, and I'll show you why when we get to that point. But right now, let's just finish this video.
Unbelievable! The two-point try is good, and it's Taylor Decker.
Now, what you're watching now is absolute exhilaration on the part of the Lions and total disbelief on the part of the Cowboys. They cannot believe this happened. How does that other side interpret that? Hey, the Cowboys weren't even mad. They should have been mad. Well, first of all, you can't attribute to other people the emotions that they might have in any given situation because you're not living in their skin. I've seen this argument made in legal cases, and to me, it's pure baloney. When the husband found out his wife was dead, he didn't cry, therefore he's guilty. No, therefore he reacted differently than you were expecting. But that doesn't mean he's guilty of anything. You got to prove he's guilty. Same thing applies here. Prove to me that the Cowboys knew what was going on and they were in on the fix with the referee. Come on. Find me the proof. You won't find it because it's not there. Lions fans are mad because they lost, and they're mad because they feel like they got robbed, and they're not even looking at the facts, okay? I'm doing the best I can to give you the facts. Yeah, I might have a slight bias because although I'm not a Cowboys fan, I do follow them, and I do live in the Dallas area, so they're the team that I pay the most attention to, but I really am more interested in college football. But I'll grant you that. You can say I'm biased, okay? But you have to admit I'm trying my best to let that bias not influence what I'm saying and what I'm showing you. Okay? So the fact that the Cowboys weren't mad doesn't surprise me. They were stunned. They couldn't believe this had happened to them.
Part of the old guard that was saluted after the win last week. And the Lions are up by 1. What a moment for this franchise, and what a moment for the 8th-year pro Taylor Decker.
This crowd is absolutely stunned.
Now a flag comes in at the end.
Now, they're saying the flag came in late. There were actually 2 flags. If you look on the screen there, you can see 3 umpires, or 3, I guess, I don't know what they are. They're referees, linesmen, whatever. Officials. They're officials. The one in the middle is a female, and she threw that flag that you can see behind the head of the 3rd individual. The referee, who's wearing the white cap, his name is Brad Allen, is standing in the middle, and on the left is 3 people. The female in the middle threw a flag. I don't know why she threw the flag, and I don't think that's been explained, so I'm not going to speculate on it.
And they've thrown another. The question is, did Skipper, an offensive lineman, report? What else could it be?
Touching by number 68.
So the call is an illegal touch?
I think number 70 and number 68 came in, and I'm not.
Now, that voice you hear is the rules analyst who's on the show with Troy and Joe Buck. I can't recall his name. Somebody said it in the comments. If you know it, you can put it in the comments of this video. But he's the rules official. He's supposed to know and understand the rules, and now he's responding to what happened.
68 reported as ineligible.
Well, 68 is Taylor Decker, their left tackle. Skipper came in, he reported. And 68 is there at left tackle, and he's the one who ends up making the catch.
Right, but he's on the end of the line, and he's been playing that ineligible position. So if he's going to be on the end of the line and be eligible, he needed to report as well.
Wow. So that will back.
Now, there's been a lot of people insisting that Decker did report. I'm going to tell you, I don't know. You don't know. No one knows. The only people that know for certain if Decker reported is Decker and the referee. And from the referee's actions and statements, I would say he didn't know. He didn't realize that Decker was reporting. But it's a moot point anyway, as you'll hear in a second.
It up, and the Lions will have to do it again.
Well, you see Dan talking to him, and I can't imagine You know, I can't imagine them having that play in and him not reporting, because that would be stressed throughout the week. That is hard to believe.
Well, let me ask you
Troy is absolutely correct.
this. Now that it backs you up, do you kick the extra point and tie the game? They leave their offense out there to try to convert again.
Yeah, from the 7-yard line. This is aggressive.
Exactly. At this point, the previous play is water under the bridge. Detroit still has the opportunity to kick an extra point and tie the game, or score a 2-point conversion and win the game. They elected to go for the 2-point conversion. It didn't work, but that was their choice. They made that choice. Nobody made it for them. The refs didn't influence it. In fact, in the second attempt, the refs called a penalty on Dallas. So you can't blame the refs for the Lions losing the game. The Lions lost the game because they elected not to kick an extra point to tie, and they failed in their second and third attempt to score a 2-point conversion.
So Decker didn't report. He caught the 2-point conversion. They threw the flag at the end of it. And now a flag on Parsons. This one's picked, but Parsons came across. There's a flag on the play.
Now, Dallas intercepted the pass. Should they be complaining that the refs unfairly called an offsides on Micah Parsons? No, because he was clearly offsides. Okay? Clearly. But that's the logic behind the Detroit complaints about the illegal pass.
And hold all tickets.
Yeah, they definitely got Micah Parsons in the neutral zone.
Defense, number 11, moved into the neutral zone prior to the snap.
So let's do it again.
Well, how many more plays does Ben Johnson have up his sleeve?
And Parsons definitely in the neutral zone. And the ball is sitting just inside the 4.
And there has been no hesitation by Dan Campbell on what he's doing.
You hear that? No hesitation. He's going for it. He's decided to go for broke. He's either going to win the game or lose the game on this play. He's had 3 opportunities to make a 2-point conversion. The first 2 failed. And he decided on the third attempt to go for the 2-point conversion instead of kicking the extra point, tying the game, and going into overtime and trying to win it then. That was his choice. The referees didn't influence him to make that choice. He made it on his own, and he is responsible for the results.
Even after the penalty, no question in his mind.
Here we go. Goff gets rid of it. Incomplete. And now the Cowboys maintain their lead. James Mitchell, the tight end, couldn't make the catch. And the Cowboys finally able to exhale. What a finish.
Well, Detroit got exactly what they wanted. And as good as Goff was on that last drive, this throw was not. And if he hits Mitchell in stride and gets it on him, he gets the 2-point conversion. But the ball.
Troy Aikman is absolutely correct. Had Goff made a good pass, they would have scored and won the game. But he didn't. He failed to execute. That's not the referee's fault. That's not the Dallas Cowboys' fault. That's not some mystical something or other's fault. It's Detroit Lions' fault, and it's Dan Campbell's fault. He chose to be aggressive, and his aggressiveness cost him. That's nobody else's fault but his. And he has to take responsibility for that.
Ball was low. You're going to see they push up with Laporta to give Mitchell room on the route.
Now, if you want me to express my opinion is that Micah Parsons rushing Goff caused him to rush the pass. Because he had the guy wide open. He would have scored. He would have gotten the 2-point conversion. But he kind of panicked a little bit, and he threw the ball off a little bit, and the receiver wasn't able to secure the ball. And even if he had, he probably wouldn't have made it into the end zone because it was so low that he was already falling down, and the Dallas Cowboy player would have been on top of him. But that's just my opinion, okay? That has nothing to do with facts.
Here again is that first try that was successful, but Taylor Decker, 68.
Now, listen to this next part closely.
Did not report.
Yeah, and Joe, pick which one you want. Number one, he's...
Hear that? Pick which one you want. I think this guy's name is John Perry. I believe that's what his name is, but he's the rules analyst. He's supposed to be familiar with the rules and able to explain them.
Not covered by an eligible. So it's an
So he is saying that Decker on that play was not covered by an eligible, which is exactly what I said in the beginning. And then I later said that I thought I was wrong because of what some people had argued in the comments. But I'll take John Perry's word for it. He says he's not covered by an eligible, therefore he's ineligible. Okay? And that's only one. Now listen.
Ineligible downfield. It's illegal touching by alignment. It's an illegal formation. They're all...
You hear that? Illegal formation. All you guys in the comments saying it wasn't illegal formation, you're wrong. You're just wrong. It was an illegal formation. All right? The rules analyst said so. I think he knows a little bit more than I do. I think he knows a little bit more than most of you do.
5 yards. Take your choice on which one you want here. He needed to report if he's going to play that position. And Brad only announced number 70, one number. So I would...
Now, did you hear what he just said there? Brad only announced one number, number 70. Only announced one number, number 70. Now, I mentioned I played that Spanish language clip where you can clearly hear the announcement. Okay? This other website is arguing that because the announcement doesn't show up in the English version, that it was dubbed into the Spanish version and it's fake. But there's a couple of problems with that. First of all, the referee's required to announce it. So they're claiming the referee didn't even do what he was required to do. Okay? And the second problem with it is there's other evidence. There are eyewitnesses who were in the stadium who heard it. And there's also video proof, and I'm going to show that to you now. This is the Dallas Cowboys announcers version. The Dallas Cowboys announce all of the home games separately from the broadcast TV. Listen to this.
Here it comes.
If he had to make the playoffs,
70
maybe.
is an eligible receiver. Number 70 is eligible.
Hear that? Number 70 is an eligible receiver. Number 70 is eligible. I'll play it again. This is in the English version of the Dallas Cowboys broadcast.
Here it comes.
If he had to make the playoffs,
70
maybe.
is an eligible receiver. Number 70 is eligible.
Number 70 is an eligible receiver. Number 70 is eligible. There's the proof, folks. I don't care how many times somebody tries to argue that the announcement was never made. It's just baloney. Now, there's been so much controversy about this that obviously Dan Campbell's been asked about it. Okay? And I'm going to put these links in the description so that you can Follow up on all this stuff for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. Don't believe me. Check it out for yourself. But I'm going to read you this. On Monday, Detroit Lions coach Dan Campbell was asked if he would change anything about the team's process in their go-ahead two-point conversion attempt against the Dallas Cowboys that was nullified by a penalty. His answer was short but powerful. No. Keep that in mind. He said no, he wouldn't have changed anything. All right? Now, the Lions bear responsibility for sending 3 offensive linemen to the referee, setting him up for failure. That's the claim that people are making. And it's essentially the NFL's argument. Decker, Skipper, and Pennell Stewart all approached head official Brad Allen, and the argument goes that because Skipper had reported as eligible 2 times already this game, Allen assumed this was the 3rd time. Had the Lions simply only sent Decker to the official, there would be no confusion. Now, this is Dan Campbell's answer. I want you to pay attention to this. If you're running a play like that, and 70, Skipper, is your jumbo tight end, and they know that because that's what he does for you, and then you decide you're going to make 68, Decker, eligible, and he walks over to the ref, and the ref stands over 68 before the play, and they hold the ball, and they stand over him and point at him, do you think you're going to be able to throw the ball to 68? No. So it's about eligibility. That's what it's about. It has nothing to do with the ref. The ref knows. He knows because 68 reported. It's for the defense so that they see 3 different people and you're just hoping they happen to not hear the ref. Do you understand what Dan Campbell is admitting here? What he's admitting is that he deliberately sent 3 players out to the ref in an attempt to confuse the Cowboys. That's what he's admitting to. Now, I don't understand this. It doesn't make any sense to me because not only does the referee directly inform the defense as to who is eligible, but he also announces it to the entire stadium. So what would make you think that you could confuse anybody? What would make you think that they wouldn't understand what was going on? Do you really think that if the referee went to the defense and said number 68 is eligible, that they would have said, oh, well, we're not going to cover him? Come on. Use some sense. Be logical. Now, there's a claim that Dan Skipper rubbed his jersey to indicate he was an eligible receiver. I can see where people could make that argument, and I have thought about it, but there's no proof. What we do have proof of is that 3 players went to the ref, and the 3rd player was Skipper, and he was running towards the ref. And when the ref saw him, he looked directly at him, pointed at him, and then turned and went straight to the defense to inform them. Okay? So that we know, and now we know from Dan Campbell's own mouth that he did that deliberately. Unfortunately for him, it backfired because they didn't just fool the Cowboys. They also fooled the referee. And then they asked him about this. The Lions should have done something when the official announced over the microphone that Skipper was eligible. And they admit that there's audio proof, okay? Allen went on mic and reported that Skipper, not Decker, was eligible. Some argue that this now puts the onus on the Lions to correct it. One problem, though, the Lions were out of timeouts. And Campbell said he didn't even hear the announcement anyways. So all the reporting that says that Dan Campbell heard it is apparently false, because Campbell claims he didn't hear it. Now, I'll take his word for it, okay? I'll just take his word for it. I don't care. Let's assume that Dan Campbell's being honest and he never heard the announcement. But he was wrong that they were out of timeouts and couldn't do anything about it because play was stopped. The clock was stopped, and it would not have started until the ball was hiked. So they had ample time to go change the call. Now, if they didn't hear it, that's a problem, but that's their own fault. They did it to themselves. As I said in my other video, they were hoist on their own petard. This is a quote for Campbell. "I don't have a timeout. There's nothing I can do. And it's loud. You can't hear anything. Not from where we were at. I think right when the play started, you realized that they had ID'd 70. So it is what it is." Okay? So any claims that there was no announcement are false. Any claims that there isn't audio proof of that is false. Any claims that Dan Campbell knew and heard the audio is apparently also false. But Dan Campbell is mistaken in thinking that there was nothing he could do about it. And now this is my opinion. This is not fact. This is my opinion. My opinion is Campbell just doesn't want to admit his mistake. He realizes that what he did, he tried to play a little fast and loose and be fancy by sending 3 guys up there. Why you would do that when there is a public announcement and the referee informs the defense, why you would do that is beyond me. But he did it, and it cost him. And it's his fault. It's not the referee's fault. It's his fault. He's the one who tricked them. So I hope this puts a stop to at least this part of the speculation on it. We now have a rules analyst stating on camera publicly that there were 3 violations on that play. Decker was not covered by a receiver. Decker was ineligible because he had not been announced eligible by the ref, and it was an illegal formation. So, well, okay, I'm going to put it like this to you. I'm not going to entertain any more speculation on this. You can go in the comments and you can argue till you're blue in the face that Decker did report. You have no proof of that. You can argue that I'm wrong, that there was that it was not an illegal formation. Go ahead, argue it. Argue it with John Perry, the rules analyst, who said it was an illegal formation. Argue with him, not me. Okay? And you can go on and say, well, they didn't hear the announcement. Well, that's their problem. They have staff that are supposed to be responsible to pay attention to details like that, and they didn't. And finally, and most importantly, the Lions had 2 opportunities after that call to kick an extra point, tie the game, and go into overtime, and they elected not to, and both attempts failed. The first one was an interception, which was overturned by a penalty, and the second one was an incomplete pass because Goff missed his receiver. Who's to blame for the Lions' loss? The Lions are, not the refs. And as to the speculation that the referees have been demoted and will not be in the playoffs, I've seen absolutely nothing from the NFL stating that. This is all pure speculation again on the internet. So from now on, I won't be responding to any of these arguments. You can post them in the comments if you want. Go ahead. I don't care. Express all the anger and the hatred and disgust that you have in your heart. I don't care. I'm not going to respond to it anymore. This is my final word on it, okay? Now, to all of my viewers, to everybody that's watched my videos, whether you like me or not, whether you like the Lions or the Cowboys, or you don't care about either team, I don't care. To all of you, I pray that you will live an abundant life, that you will be healthy, that you will live a long life, and that God will keep you safe from harm. I pray that for you. And I also pray that He'll do the same for every single person that you love, because those people are important to you. And additionally, I pray that you will be anxious for nothing, but in all things, through prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, you will make your requests known to God. And the peace that passes all understanding will keep your heart and mind in Christ Jesus. This is the Vietnam era vet, out.